Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Ciao, salud. How you doing?
Salute. Oh, you know what's funny? I have to tell you, I watched the first episode of Tulsa King.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Love it.
Good,
Love
good.
it. Stallone. And the other actors are good, too, on the show, too. I mean, he actually has some good chemistry with a lot of the other actors. Uh, it's just funny. It's... like he gets out of prison after 25 years.
Yeah.
So of course things like smartphones and a lot of things are alien to him.
Sure.
And he goes to meet the mafia guys, and the mafia, I guess, has fallen on hard times. And I'm thinking, of course, everybody else is struggling, so of course the organized crime will be struggling too right now. So
I mean, in a way, it's probably true. Yeah.
they'll send you out to Tulsa, and he's like, Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just funny. It's a funny show. I've enjoyed the first episode so far, and Stallone's at the top of his game.
I don't know, man. And this might be part of the premise of the show. When I think organized crime, I don't think Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, that's the point. Neither does he. He's annoyed.
Oh, okay.
He goes to I think a marijuana dispenser. He's like, "This is legal." He's trying to get his cut of businesses and stuff, and it's just funny seeing him just talk to people and interacting with the people. And it's funny. One thing interesting thing is, though, he actually treats everybody he runs into, at least at the first glance, with respect. He's not, just because someone's, from Oklahoma, he's not going to look down on him because he's from New York City. Do you understand?
Right,
so
right,
it's not
exactly.
like that. So it's an interesting show if you get around to watching it. I'll let you know if it gets any better. But yeah,
Okay.
so far so good. Let me say hi to the chat, though. We got Matt.
Yeah, hi, chat.
I guess you were first.
Was
Congratulations, you win a prize.
Oh, Matanui. Yeah.
Maybe an expired gift certificate.
You know what they used to say in the letters column of Marvel Comics, right?
Yeah.
You win the coveted no prize.
The coveted no prize.
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole I'm first thing. It's like, it doesn't really mean anything, but people still enjoyed it,
Could have given away some soggy comics I had a few weeks back, but
yeah.
Soggy Tomb Raider comics with the lovely Lara Croft in them. Which,
I think the danger there is, don't want to be responsible for someone getting like some lung disease or something.
Lung disease, yeah. Anyway, though, welcome, Matanui. Thank you for not making me chase you, because we're going to talk about chasing the audience. Maybe
right.
In the good old days. Good evening, Geeks and Geezers. Age Boomer. Welcome, Auditor Dread. Netters Network. Hi, sweetie. Thank you very much. And she says to you, Troy Pacelli, hello, love my life, with is that a double heart? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We each get a special heart, Boomer. She's got one for you, and she's got one for me.
Deleted scenes. Hello, that's a wave. Daniel Heron, awesome people of YouTube unit. This weekend I will be on with Daniel Heron on Wednesday. We are going to be doing the traditional Thanksgiving Eve stream where we ramble on. I usually ramble on about Black Friday deals, and I'll let you know if I see anything good.
There you go.
Oh, technically Black Friday week starts today. So I probably missed out on some good deals, huh?
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, that a lot of these Black Friday deals kind of go all week. In fact, unless I'm mistaken, I think some of them start at like 3 this morning.
You don't care about being any first, to be honest. Well, that's fine. All right.
Yeah, just like with Black Friday, I've never cared about those Black Friday. I would never stand out, in the cold. Well, you got to understand, I'm not in Florida. You don't know what cold is. Cold is 3 in the morning, standing on the street in the Chicago area, waiting to get in and buy some tchotchke that, that's, I don't know. I think
having to fight stupid people.
And having to fight stupid people. No, it's just not worth it. And to be honest with you, I mean, the whole buying things at the holiday thing, I think as adults, we've kind of lost a care about that, because it's like we get stuff for each other all year long. And it's mostly I order it, it arrives, And then it hands me the box. Oh, this is for you. Oh, no, this is for you. You know, and we're getting now mostly it's stuff that she's getting for me. She's buying me action figures and stuff. But I mean, in general, you know.
But that sounds nice. Getting action figures at various times of the year, as opposed to just getting them all at once on. But I'm sure you'll get something on Christmas, right?
Oh, I'm sure I'll get something. But it's you know. It's just something that came in the past couple of weeks, and she's like, I'll just hold on to this till Christmas.
I just like when things are cheaper. So do I. Actually, they had some decent video game deals this week. Persona 5 Royale for the Switch, $29.99 at most locations. That's not terrible. Also for the Xbox, if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, get it for $29.99.
Are there any big like consoles or whatever this year that you can't get because everyone's buying them?
Probably still PlayStation 5. I've heard rumored going around though, if you don't already have one of these things, wait, because they think a revised models are coming out in the next year. They might be better. Usually they are. Sometimes they're worse, but sometimes they're better. I do not want to get an Xbox One Series X until they release one that has a 2 terabyte hard drive, or at least something with a second expansion port. Because the max I can go up to with that fancy new drive they have is 3 terabytes, but I need at least 4 terabytes on that thing. So
are these things not upgradable like a PC?
Here's the thing. You can use an external hard drive on the Xbox. No, not really. You can't really upgrade it yourself. You can buy upgraded models, but I mean, you can do small things like I know on the PlayStation system that you should be able to install your own, like a bigger hard drive. Now the big thing is you do external expansions, like use an external hard drive. The trouble is the Xbox Series X, it can't run things from the external. It can like bring them over. Uh-huh. At least with some games, at least with the sub made specifically for the Xbox Series X. I'm not 100% in it since I don't actually own it, but they have a new they have a new, I don't know, what is it, solid state drive or whatever that is. Never mind. Someone's going to clip me not knowing what I'm talking about. But the point is, they have better externals now that are more money. But my problem is, I still feel I need more memory. Do you understand? I want at least 4 terabytes.
I know the feeling of needing more memory. Yes, the older I get, especially.
So, because I have a lot of funny. No, I have a lot of digital games, but I know own physical media, blah blah. But let's be honest with you, with a lot of the games, especially in games of the Xbox, you're downloading the stuff regardless. Even if
when I say own physical media, that doesn't mean don't take it and have a digital copy of it for ease of use and mobility and stuff like that. I mean, I have this big collection, and a buddy of mine who's an IT guy is like, we could set you up with I don't remember how many terabyte drive, and you could rip all of these onto it, and then we could set you up with, just plug and play. And I'm like, yeah, and then what happens if that hard drive crashes? He goes, well, you've got all the physical, media here. I'm like, okay, good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Agent Moore confirmed that PlayStation website store you can buy a PlayStation 5 God of War pack. So now the console is available to buy, but I'm waiting next year for the new model. I'm assuming there's going to be a new model. I never know. You never know with these things.
See, I don't know enough about these things, but I always expect someone to say, well, you could get a 5, but you'd have to get it from Japan, and the American games aren't compatible, so all the games only speak Japanese.
Funny. I think that they've done away with that. I think now, I could be wrong, I think all consoles are now region free as far as games go. Movies are still region coded. You can't put but I think games now you can buy them from all around the world.
Yeah. And
they'll work on your console. I don't know if that works for patches, like if they release patches for the game later on, but I know that you can buy software from overseas. Yeah, I think that works because I see people doing it though. And Spider-Man 2, I'm unaware if you can update the 1 terabyte hard drive yet to do the solid state drives. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I did finally actually got my first PlayStation 4 game that I bought in years because it's only available on PlayStation. It was Ghost of Tsushima. They had it on
didn't you say these consoles are backwards compatible, so your PlayStation 4 game can play on?
Not necessarily. Ooh. PlayStation, some stuff you can upgrade and make it compatible. Other things you can't. Xbox they're pretty good about that. They said everything that worked on the current last gen Xbox will work on the next gen Xbox. As for Nintendo, usually no, but maybe they're finally going to learn their lesson. Hopefully, whatever they have as a successor to the Switch will still let you use the old games on. And more important than that, let me use the old controllers, because the controllers get expensive. You know?
Yeah. And I don't see any major technological updates in them. It's still basically the same thing.
You know, I do want to say something, though. I do remember years back when I had a PlayStation 3, and I was actually rather amazed that Sony had you download an update, and it essentially turned my PlayStation 3, which was also a Blu-ray player, and it turned it into a 3D Blu-ray player. Remember when they were pushing 3D Blu-rays, you put the glasses on when you have your TV? Mm-hmm. It turned the PlayStation 3 into a 3D Blu-ray player. So obviously there must be some stuff they can do on the software end with these things.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, when it comes to those controllers, I mean, it's, you know, a joystick is a joystick. The only difference is length and width, and it's really how you use it when you get right down to it.
Well, now you get force feedback and rumble.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, what was I going to talk about, though?
Well, we haven't finished saying hi to the chat.
You were going on a rant, though, before we started the stream about Valiant Renegade was talking about, and I think it had to do with the producers of Andor.
Yeah, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, don't we actually have that in coming up? Or no, maybe we don't.
I don't think we talked about Andor, so I figure if you want to go on a little mini rant before we start.
Sure, I'll go on a little mini rant. So I actually don't even remember how we got on this topic. I think it started with just this whole concept of intellectual property and artists being able to regain their rights, you know, and I used the example of John Fogerty being sued by his previous record label when he went solo, and basically saying, you know, your sound sounds too much like the stuff that we have the rights to, so you need to change. And he goes, I'm John Fogerty. That's how I sound. I'm not changing for you. You know, if anything, you're still making money off of my sound. Maybe I should sue you. But the case was pretty straightforward, and it has been. And we see this happening. We've talked about this on this channel a number of times. We've talked about Hellraiser, and we've talked about Friday the 13th, and you know, some of these others where the creators of these franchises, you know, the franchises were owned by the movie companies, but eventually those rights revert back to them. And that's why we're getting some of the sequels and reboots that we're getting. But it's also why we have some complicated rights issues, like especially we do with Friday the 13th. But the thing I was talking about was how on the other side of that is you have people that have created the elements of the franchises we love, and the current owners don't want to pay the people that deserve the money for them, right? So they, for example, Star Wars, George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney. Disney owns Star Wars. They don't owe anything to George Lucas, right? Well, I don't know if that's entirely true or not, because usually in the realm of intellectual property, if you have characters that you create, right, and then the new company is creating toys in their likeness, and he always did own toy rights and whatnot. Well, maybe for R2-D2 and C-3PO and whatnot, you need to, whenever an action figure is sold, you got to pay out to Papa George, right? Which is why we don't see R2 through most of the sequel trilogy. We only see BB-8. Right? That's why C-3PO has a red arm for some unknown reason, so that you can see that he is a new design for the character that's from our specific movie, not George's, right? It's abundantly clear when you see Star Trek, right? You know, all that stuff, it's all got to be different. Everything that J.J. Abrams does. So we've recast it. We've changed the uniforms. We changed the look of the ship. We changed the size of the ship. We changed all these things. Those toys, all that stuff goes to, you know, bad reboot. Well, turns out those things don't sell, right? And why do they not sell? Because the fans look at that and go, that's not my Star Trek, right? That's not my Star Wars, okay? I was a fan of that other thing, okay? Not this crap that you're putting out. And when you change things specifically to avoid making it look too much like it was, it no longer is that old thing, right? And Valiant Renegade was just recently put out a video, and actually Doomcock actually talked about this too. The showrunner for what's that new Star Wars show? Andor. Andor was basically saying that he's kind of surprised by the way the reception has gone. As everyone probably knows, Andor has gotten a great deal of commercial acclaim, from the, well, let's face it, from the shills, and the small audience that they have seems to like it. Even people in our community that have seen it seem to like the show. The most they can say is, it's a little slow, but, it's still pretty good. And the showrunner said something very interesting in an interview. He said, we thought that because, it was so well received, we would have this big built-in audience and everything was going to be awesome. But that turned out not to be the case. The audience just isn't there for us. So we find ourselves chasing the audience, and it does sound like the secondhand stuff that I've been hearing about Andor, mostly from like Eckhart's Ladder and some of these other channels that get into some of the minutia of lore and canon and stuff, are saying, these people doing Andor are throwing background ships in and characters and stuff like that come from the EU, that clear that they know, the lore and everything and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, that's great. Unfortunately, the fans aren't watching anymore. They've left. They left after the sequel trilogy and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan.
I heard Obi-Wan is to a lot of people that finished a lot of people off. Like that kind of got a lot of momentum. But
yeah, because I haven't seen the series itself, but I've seen at least one fan edit of it. Mm-hmm. I can see the elements of a good show there. Unfortunately, I also see how it was subverted, and I'm like, no, if this is what you were going to do, you'd have been better off not doing it. And this is the stuff that, the popcorn eaters go, yeah, this is pretty good. I enjoy this. Well, that's fine. That's not what you build a money-making franchise on. It's how you destroy a money-making machine, and that's basically, a lot of what we've seen in the past decade or so, and you can read and you can cry and you can istophobe all you want. That doesn't equal dollars. It just doesn't. No. And you can, well, I enjoyed it. Well, that's great. While you're enjoying it, Lucasfilm is going bankrupt. You're not doing them any favors by pirating the show.
Oh, so let's talk about the good old days.
And ironically, what we're going to talk about is still pretty dark stuff, but
Alien.
Good dark stuff.
In space, no one can hear you.
Scream.
Yeah.
Random
top. Yeah. Alien.
I love that tagline because, and I didn't think about it for a lot of years until I heard somebody talking about it, doing an analysis of it, basically saying Alien is a haunted house story in space.
I think it was the writer of the screenplay said that. I could be wrong.
And that makes sense. When you think about it, that's basically what it is. What is a haunted house story in a nutshell? You're trapped someplace with a monster, and you've got to survive until you can escape, right? And that's basically what Alien is. And it ramps up the stalking, hidden instead of it being a ghost that can go through walls and disappear and reappear, it's a skulking creature that crawls through the behind the walls and the air ducts and drops out of the shadows.
Yeah, Dan O'Banion, he's the screenwriter for that movie back when you had like one screenwriter per movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Instead of 100.
Well, what you'd have is you'd have one main screenwriter, and then you get another person or two that got writing credits because they changed a line or something like that. That's just Hollywood, playing dominoes there.
How did you experience Alien? Did you see it in the theater? Or did you have to wait for TV?
Let me think. I did not see it in the theater initially. I don't remember being that interested in it in to go see it in the theaters. When I saw, surprisingly, a toy line coming out related to it, there was a big 12-inch plastic, and a buddy of mine had this Alien. I'm like, man, that's really cool, And I think we ended up watching it on like VHS at a buddy's house one time. And I was like, man, that Sigourney Weaver looks good in her underwear. Seriously, that was my first impression.
That's what those gravity defining underwear, right?
Exactly.
No, but I had not seen it. I actually saw Aliens first before I saw Alien. Alien I didn't get to see till it came on regular television. They were showing it like the movie of the week, and I'm like, well, I want to watch Alien. Of course, as a kid, I knew they're going to cut out the good stuff, aren't they? But it's I'd still rather watch it on with commercials than not watch it at all. And I was pretty impressed when I saw it on regular TV. Because here's the thing, back before you had streaming and you had DVDs, getting access to like the uncut thing. I mean, maybe you went to a video rental store, but if you're doing television, it was like luck of the draw. Even when it came to cable, maybe they'd show your movie, maybe they.
Well, that was the thing with cable. It wasn't like these days where you had it on demand, right? It wasn't until many years later where it was video on demand, and then that was a paid service, right? You would pay literally to rent and it was like going to the movies to see something that's been out for a while, right? Yeah. Otherwise, if you were paying for HBO or Showtime or whatever, you would just look through the thing and see, oh, okay, Aliens is coming up. Well, I haven't seen Alien, and then you'd look to see if maybe sometimes they do a double feature, Alien and then Aliens, Oh, there you go.
I have to admit, though, the cast for Alien, fairly amazing, and yet when you're watching the movie, you don't see them as these big stars or famous actors. You do see them as the characters they're portraying. But you got Tom Skerritt as the captain of the Nostromo,
right?
Dallas Sigourney Weaver is of course Ripley, right? Like second in command, right? Veronica Cartwright, she's in this. Harry Dean Stanton, great actor, funny in this. Him and Yaphet Kotto play the two ship's engineers, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because they're like the repair guys, like I guess the grease monkeys of the ship. Like everything about this, it's funny because it's in space in the future.
It's like truckers in space.
Yeah, you're sleeping, but it's basically these are like how it would eventually become. You think of space travel in the future, think, oh, it's all glamorous, and they're like, well, probably wouldn't be so glamorous after a while. It'd just be routine, right?
Right, exactly.
And John Hurt as Kane.
Unfortunately
meets a very bad end. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie tune out right now, you owe it to yourself. Just stop watching. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to chase you, audience member. Watch the movie. Ian Holm as Ash. I often argue great horror movies have to have a great villain in them. In addition to the monster, Ash is a great villain in this.
Yep.
I don't want to spoil. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think this is enough of a classic. I mean, that's like, Darth Vader's Luke's father. Big surprise, if you don't already know that by now. What rock have you been hiding under, But I think probably the biggest thing that stands out is, just the way this story was written and then the way it was cast. I don't know about all the characters, but I know Ripley in particular, it wasn't really thought whether it was going to be male or female. They just wrote the characters and then they cast them however, So the fact that Ripley turned out to be female, no one thought twice about. It was just, oh, okay. Yeah, she's good for it.
Yeah.
And So, and then you see this interplay between them, and you might project something onto them because of a gender difference, but it wasn't written that way. So you got to stop and think, is that your own bias, that's going on here? And then remember that this was, what year did Alien come out?
I believe it was 79. Let me check.
79. Yeah. 79 set the standard for the strong female protagonist. I'm sorry, Gen Z or whatever. It didn't start in 2000, okay?
Well, what I always found interesting about this movie in particular is that even though we see it as a very, I guess even now we would see it as kind of a modern horror movie, though it was made in 79, it actually is in some ways a callback to 1950s style science fiction movies. Have you ever seen the movie It? I think it's called It, the Thing from Another World.
Right.
Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
It's about a creature in the ship stalking crew members as they're trying to get back to Earth. And a lot of the same template is in this, except in this, the monster is even more terrifying. It's the H.R. Geiger design that just looks horrible.
Even the very, very classic Forbidden Planet, right?
That's another one, yeah.
That's another one where everyone's being killed by this creature, that can't even be seen. It's invisible. So it's not like you're in a ship in the dark. It's hiding in the walls. It's hiding in the shadows. You're literally walking around outside the ship and can't see it.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Those sci-fi films did have a greater... The line between sci-fi and horror in the 50s and 60s was very, very thin.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you think back what is Godfather, right? It's an imitation. It's not an imitation, but it's kind of a callback to the gangster movies of the 30s, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, and it's just a lot going on in 70s movies. It introduced the world to H.R. Geiger. Yes, it did. What's this? I first saw Alien cable television at about 6-7 years old. I got so wrapped up in the production design life cycle of the alien that I forgot to be scared.
Yeah.
Well, good for you, man. That movie's still pretty terrifying. I heard people were passing out in the theater especially at the one, what do you want to call it? The gestation scene where the alien finally pops out of poor Kane there. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the, I don't know if you'd call it a fan theory or not, of Alien breaking the fourth wall?
No.
Okay. So there's a scene, and I don't remember exactly where it takes place, where they're looking for the alien or whatever, and the camera, and you got to think about it as the actors on the scene, right? The cameraman is pulling back, and the camera bumps into, I don't know, something that's hanging there, and it makes a noise. And whatever actor it is that's in frame turns and looks, like is alerted by this, which actually works very well in the scene because, the whole being stalked by the alien thing, right? Yeah. But it's like, wait a minute. So you are aware of the camera and what the camera does, and when it turns to look towards the camera, they're basically breaking the fourth wall. You're aware of the audience watching you. I'll see if I can find the video. I'll share it with you later. Maybe you can drop it on your community tab or something for everybody.
I'll have to look at that.
Or you know what? I'll drop it in the comments, after the fact.
Please. So, apparently, we've been warned they're doing an Alien series for Hulu from Disney. Let's not give them ideas about breaking the fourth wall and having.
Well, the Alien Queen is now a Disney princess, so sure.
Anyway, though, but welcome to Topia. It's a chat. We're just talking about 1979's Alien. Big fan of that movie, though. You could go on and talk about aliens.
Really could. And then of course, if you extend this out, you have all the Alien films. The what was the Prometheus and so forth.
Yes.
Alien versus Predator, which brings the aliens and the predators into the same universe.
Technically, that happens at the end of Predator 2 because you see one of the xenomorph skeletons mounted
Exactly.
on the wall.
Exactly. And some of the comics they did based on that were brilliant. I wish they'd have just gone ahead and turned those into movies. They'd have been better off.
I haven't read those comics, but I heard that, and I think just even the regular Aliens comics were actually excellent. They've gotten, people have said they're very good. If I get around to it, I'd like to read those someday.
One of the Alien versus Predators was, there is an outpost colony. Think of it as like humans farming an alien planet with like alien cows, right? And the predators come and they're using the livestock for breeding ground for the aliens. And then they're going to come back and they're going to hunt the aliens, right? And these farmers end up getting caught up in it all. It's a really, really good story. Brilliant premise. This would be the kind of thing that would make for a great single movie, and you don't need it to be directly connected to any other movie. You don't even have to say exactly when it's taking place in relationship to anything else, other than, it's in the future, an alien, another planet and stuff, But it's a shame. But then there's also the Tyrell Corporation connection from Easter eggs and stuff. So is Blade Runner a part of all of this too, and whatnot?
I like to treat them separate. I think Alien's its own universe.
Well, but if you throw in Terminator, then there's time travel involved. So they all could be different timelines spawning from the same, point.
I think there was a RoboCop versus Terminator comic, or maybe it was just a video. I know there was a video game, RoboCop versus Terminator, and I think it was based on a comic where like Skynet might have been tied to the Robotech technology that was not Robotech, RoboCop technology that was created. But I don't know.
That's pretty cool too.
I was a kid when I saw Aliens on tape. I think it may have been the first James Cameron movie I saw. I think it was my first James Cameron movie too. I caught it on Showtime.
Yeah.
Because that was one that was put on regularly on Showtime. I actually missed Aliens in the theater, but Aliens might be a topic for another time. Deleted Scene says, though, I'm starting to get a little encouraged about the new Hulu Alien movie. The director and rumored star are solid. Yeah, that's the movie. That might be better than the series. I've also heard rumored about the series was something else. I don't know why they're doing both a movie and a series.
Honestly, I'm at the point, it could be a rights thing.
Or maybe the series thing has fallen through, and maybe they went and decided to go with a movie instead.
You never know. But I'm just too jaded. I am at the point where I don't pick up anything new until after it's over, and I've heard whether, the general consensus is it was good or bad, because I've been burned just too damn many times already.
Yeah. Well, there was Alien Resurrection. And Alien 3. Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on Alien 3. Fell asleep and just woke to get here. Hope everyone's doing fine. We're doing fine now. We're just doing a good old days on Alien. Kind of a loose one because Troy's like, what do you want to talk about? Good old days.
Wow, Otter Dread really knows his stuff. It was a colony planet, Ryushi, where a group of predators have used to hunt in the past, but crashed their ship housing an alien queen onto the planet. Someone, something or other, and Broken Tusk are, and he's probably typing another comment. But I didn't remember the exact details. I just remember it was being a very, very, very good story, Do
you know there was a Superman versus Aliens comic written once?
I have it.
Oh, okay. So have you read it?
I have.
Okay, because I thought it was interesting. I just saw a clip from it in a magazine.
It was very good, and
these creatures can hurt me. He screams. That's what Clark.
And the thing was, and my memory's pretty fuzzy on it, as Auditor Dread has pointed out about this other story, but I think I remember that he was like depowered because he was away from the yellow solar sun. Radiation,
right.
And in the course of the story, he's become impregnated by one of the aliens, and it's trying to burst out of his chest.
Yikes.
And
okay.
I'm sure you could probably figure out how it ends, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It's definitely worth looking into.
He raises the alien on Earth to become his superhero sidekick. It's a joke. Never mind.
And then Auditor Dread continues on. A predator elder where they team up to survive. Right. And I'll tell you what, it was that story that inspired me when I got the Alien versus Predator Horror Clicks game. Some of the scenarios that I thought would, because you can get, the Predator Elder, you could get the human like warrior or whatever, the Ripley type character, and she's got like a spear and she's using the skull of an alien for a shield and stuff like that. The big marine type character like Arnold Schwarzenegger, with the
cool.
The big auto weapon and stuff. Yeah. So, but
that's what you need. It's you need the big.
Maybe one of these
star.
days I got to do a video about horror clicks. I've got all these things. I've got almost the whole collection, and I think most people don't even know about it because it's been out of production for a long time.
It sounds neat.
Yeah. That could be another good old day someday.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about horror clicks some days. But today we have, unfortunately, we have a late breaking in remembrance.
Thought we were going to get through the week without having to do an in remembrance, but I guess we do.
Yeah, and again, I was not necessarily a fan of this property, but I know a lot of you out there were, so I do feel bad for your loss here.
Yep.
But let me go ahead and paste this. Give me a second.
Oh yeah, I didn't have this in my notes, so I missed that one.
Yeah, it's fine. Power Rangers, Jason David Frank, dead by suicide at 49. Yeah, I'm going to use the S word. I don't care at this point because frankly, it's a thing that happens.
It is what it is.
It's I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. Walter Jones, who played the Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, tells TMZ he was an inspiration to. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. He was an inspiration to so many people. His presence will be dearly missed. It's so sad to lose another member of our Ranger family. Jason was one of the biggest pranksters in the show. He had a wild sense of humor. We had our shares of ups and downs, but I stayed consistent about being an ear if he needed one. My prayers go out to his family and all that will miss him. So yeah, the actor and mixed martial artist died in Texas, according to his representative, Justine Hunt. Sources with direct knowledge tell us his death was a result of suicide.
Yeah.
JDF was best known as Tommy Oliver from the original run of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers franchise dating back to the kids series debut in 1993 when he was introduced as one of the 6 crime monster fighting superheroes masked head to toe with kung fu skills. Fans remember he started out as the Green Ranger in season 1, introduced at first as an enemy of the Power Rangers only to do a 180 and become good. After his powers started to deteriorate, however, he's turned into the White Ranger and tapped as the new leader of the group. Frank starred as one of the leads for 3 seasons, totaling 123 episodes. You have to admit, 123 episodes, that's a lot of work.
No kidding. And I'm just looking at, as the comments are coming in, Big Al said he was the greatest Ranger ever. Auditor Dread, my favorite Power Ranger. Deleted scenes has praying hands. Yeah, I know he was very I was not a huge fan of the show. I was a little older by the time.
It's an age range thing, that's all.
I was kind of on to other things by that point. I know my brother had a Red Ranger figure, and I never liked these figures because they just looked big and blocky, and their play feature was that you would the head was on a swivel, so the head would flip inside to be like the normal head, flip to the helmeted head and whatnot. And it was just kind of cheesy, but it was very, very popular. There was a lot of role play toys out there for it. I remember my stepson wanted to be Green Ranger. Not that year, it was the year after, so we put a costume together for him. As an observer of the fandom, I compare Green Ranger / White Ranger to like Boba Fett. Right. There's a specific reason that it was all of the twists and turns in the backstory and whatnot, and the mystery surrounding the character that really grabbed hold of the fans, and it just made him bigger than life, and so that's why a lot of people, I think, see him as their favorite. I also know of the actor. He was beloved by the fans for the way he interacted with fans off the show. You know, when he went to a lot of conventions, did a lot of autograph signings. He even did a fan film in character. So, I mean, he's, you know, very, very beloved in the fandom. Auditor Dread says, I hear you, Troy, on the Ranger figures being crap, but they were my crap. I get that. There's a lot of toys I felt that way about, too, along with Playmates, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the Kenner Batman figures, and the Toy Biz Spider-Man figures. Let me tell you something. On those Playmates figures, not just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the Star Trek figures, by comparison to other toys in that scale, they were kind of crap. And now Playmates has gotten the rights back, and they're starting to redo them. And even though they're slightly, you know, better figures with more articulation, they're not significantly better than the old figures from the 90s. So it's like, why? Why are you bothering? Why? You know? But anyway, but yeah, Green Ranger, you know, it's and it's just tragic. It's just tragic. I'm not even going to speculate about what was going on in his life, why he felt the need to do this. I know he was a mixed martial artist, so one of the speculations could possibly be, you know, the brain injuries that, you know, so many contact sport athletes deal with. Suicide is often a result of that. Don't know. Could have been some depression, life things, whatnot. I don't like to get into people's private lives anyway. It's just really, really tragic.
JDF was one of the rare people to be bigger than the role. Power Rangers has rarely respected its own franchise as much as he did. And Horizon Talker, he even reprised his role when IDW Comics ran the Shattered Grid comic series, shooting a trailer for a comic because he wanted to highlight it for fans who wouldn't hear about it otherwise. Yeah, no, I mean, I like I said, I know he was a favorite. Like I said, I'm sorry he's gone, and like I said, I know it's going to be a blow to that fandom.
Yep. But on to potentially continuing franchises, maybe.
You gonna do a cut and paste, or should I?
I did.
Oh, is this about the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Did we call it, or did we call it? We said this a while back.
Starring Margot Robbie is canceled. I didn't. I said, you know, 6 movies, a spin-off series. Come on, for Disney Plus. I thought
I had said that if they do this thing, it's going to crash and burn, and it's sounding like it's just definitely not happening now.
Do you know what I almost think they should do? But you may yell at me if they're gonna bring Jack Sparrow back. It just popped in my head right now. What about? What about time travel and Jack Sparrow ends up in the modern times?
No. If they did it as like a comedy, like a Deadpool kind of comedy,
yes,
that would be brilliant.
Just his mishaps in the modern world.
And what they need to do is they need to treat it like so many of the movies from the 80s, like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and all these stupid movies that had no business being in the modern day, ending up being in the modern day on Earth and stuff. That would be brilliant.
That'd be kind of funny. But we'll see. I don't know if they. Well, we'll see what they have plans. But as far as the female spinoff, female-led spinoff, apparently it's been shelved. Let me read from the article. It would appear that Pirates of the Caribbean spin-off film starring Margot Robbie has been shelved, according to the reports. Could this be an indication that Disney might be willing to move forward with another Johnny Depp-helmed installment after his win against ex-wife Amber Heard? We had an idea, and we were developing it for a while, ages ago, to have a more female-led, not totally female-led, but just a different kind of story, which we thought would have been really cool. Robbie told Vanity Fair about her intended Pirates movie for Disney, but I guess they don't want to do it. Disney CEO Bob Chapek has issued a memo stating that the company is taking a good hard look at its content spend going forward. Translation, we don't have the money to spend on stuff. Is that what I'm getting from that?
Well, and possible other sub meaning, we know this would be a huge disaster. So there's no sense investing in something we know is going to lose us money.
And a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Jack Sparrow seems like a pretty dicey proposition, especially coming from the team who produced Birds of Prey. Yeah,
there's
Birds
a problem
of Prey
right
was
there.
A massive flop, despite the popularity of Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn. I have to admit, Zaslav, whoever's taking over DC, you got to get rid of that whole Birds of Prey movie. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, I was going to say we're going to be talking about that shortly. Yeah,
there reportedly is another Pirates of the Caribbean movie in the works with producer Jerry Bruckheimer, who scored a massive box office win with Top Gun Maverick. To date, there's no official word on the possibility of Depp returning to Pirates, only that he was angry about how Disney treated him after his ex-wife's allegations.
Look, let's face it. I don't think it's Margot Robbie that's the problem with this idea.
No, she could be in a movie with Jack Sparrow. That might be a good idea, actually.
No, you're absolutely right. The fact is, any Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Johnny Depp at this point is dead on arrival. The fans will not turn out. They will see it as a personal affront on Johnny Depp, and they will not be there. Period. And it has become clear. It became clear in the testimony in that case that Pirates of the Caribbean is Jack Sparrow, specifically because of how they have monetized the Jack Sparrow character in the parks and in their marketing. Yeah. Let's put it this way. How many Orlando Bloom characters do you see walking around Disney World and, in the toys and on T-shirts? And in memes.
Well,
seriously.
I don't know.
Or how about Kira, what's her name?
Keira
I don't
Knightley.
Whatever her character was, I don't know. She's just a Padme Amidala lookalike to me.
What? She's been in stuff. She was in Everest, I think, as the wife waiting home.
Yeah, but she and Natalie Portman are like twins,
Anyways.
Just like Clark Kent and Superman.
Uh-huh. Maybe not a Pirates of the Caribbean film. We need more pirate films. Yeah, but
Well, if you're going to do another pirate movie, do it completely different. Maybe, you know what? They're big on doing reboots of everything. How about, what was that? Treasure Island. A straight-on Treasure Island remake.
In space.
They did that already.
All right.
It's called Treasure Planet.
Female pirate movie. We already had it. It failed. Cutler Island. Oh, I didn't see that. That's with Gina Davis, I believe. Yeah.
That was a good one too.
Dunk on Orlando Bloom and Kira. Yeah. And Matanui thinks time travel is a bad idea. Well, it depends.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. The only reason I think they could possibly do it is if they do it tongue in cheek, not
that's
serious.
The point. We're not talking as like a serious plot development. Like, I'll put it to you this way: Star Trek did it well, actually, with Star Trek 4 when they went to modern day. Remember that?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
To be fair, though, Star Trek had a history of doing time travel things even before that, though, so it wasn't.
But they always were very self-contained.
Yeah.
And they limited the butterfly effect, so to speak. Or if they didn't, they made it very clear what was happening with it. I mean, one of the best time travel stories was Yesterday's Enterprise, where history has changed, and then boom, you're in an alternate timeline, right? And they're like, oh, we can't have this. Let's, and either that timeline is wiped away and they restored the timeline. Well, but then there was still some things that were changed after that too. So, but yeah, back in the next gen era, and I would say even in the original series, when they did time travel, they did it well. They did it in a self-contained way, and now there isn't enough talent in the writing pool to be doing these kinds of stories anymore. Just my opinion. I say specifically in the talent pool that they're using. I'm not saying that those writers aren't out there. If you get a frequent contributor to Midnight's Edge script doctor to write one of these stories, you'd have a good story. If you got Kamran Pasha to write one of these stories, you'd have a good story. But they're not letting them do it.
Well, they have their own hires.
Yeah, they're diversity hires.
Anyway, let's go to the next article, shall we?
Okay. David Zaslav promises a united future for DC. There's not going to be 4 Batmans. Thank you, David. That's what I've been saying all this time.
Did he say that? Did he actually say that?
Yep. Those were his exact words. That's an actual quote. Go ahead and read the article.
DC fans should savor Michael Keaton's return as Batman in the upcoming The Flash movie. DC fans should savor Michael Keaton's return as Batman in the upcoming The Flash movie because it sounds like that could be the beginning and the end of his reprisal. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav teased future projects for DC films on Tuesday under the tutelage of newly installed CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran. And reading between the lines, it sure sounds like the multiverse is not going to be key going forward. Yeah, because it's not working out well for other comic book universes, but I won't talk about that. I think over the next few years, you're going to see a lot of growth and opportunity around DC. There's not going to be 4 Batmans, Zaslav said. And so part of our strategy is drive the hell out of DC, which means James and Peter are going to do. I think they've thrilled the fans. I think they're going to thrill you over a period of time. You mean excite the audience?
I mean, heaven forbid the entertainment industry should actually entertain.
We'll see.
Just saying.
Well, at face value, the notion of 4 different Batman actors at the same time would seem silly. That was kind of the direction DC was heading before Gunn and Safran came on board.
Thank you. I've only been saying it for years.
Here are the 4 Batmans that we had going. It was Michael Keaton Batman in the Batgirl movie and the Flash movie. Then we have Batfleck from the Snyderverse. Then we have, or what was the Snyderverse, I should say.
Right.
Batfleck, that's number 2. We also have...
Sparkly Bats.
You're being so mean. And then I think the 4th Batman had to be because they had a young Bruce Wayne in that Joker movie, and obviously maybe they kept doing Joker movies, you'd eventually get to see an adult Batman, and I would assume that would be.
Well, there's a lot of speculation over how
Batman. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of speculation over whether or not that was in which universe that Joker is supposed to take place in.
Why not just Why not just tie it to the Pattinson Batman movie?
Well, that was one possibility, but the other possibility is that he might have also been talking about the Christopher Nolan Batman series, which, let's face it, is not so long ago that it isn't very much in the fans' zeitgeist of Batman. And I think every Batman since then has been compared to that. Even the Joker, when you got that big Joker movie, everyone was comparing him to Heath Ledger. So it's a problem when you have all these different iterations that are all different universes, right? And then you even get into, the granular, well, is all 4 of those is it the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher, are they all one Batman, or is it really separate ones, or what is it?
No. From what I remember, I was pretty sure the Schumacher Batmans were supposed to be the continuation of the Batman
they
series.
were supposed to be, but they were so tonally different that there's actually a fan theory that the Schumacher Batman movies are actually movies within the realm or the sphere of the Tim Burton verse.
Anyway, Keaton, who starred as Batman in Tim Burton's 2 Batman films in 1989 1992, reprises the character next year as The Flash when Ezra Miller's speedster travels to a different universe, the one in which Keaton is still Batman. Keaton's role in the current DC slate was originally intended to be larger, as he appeared in the now scrapped Batgirl movie and could have potentially starred in future further Batman sequels down the road. But Zaslav's comments on Tuesday, paired with the Batgirl cancellation, seemed to signal his desire to simplify the Caped Crusader for audiences. Affleck's Batman has a cameo in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, although rumors have swirled that his cameo replaces a cameo that was intended for Keaton. Affleck also appears in The Flash, but it signals that his time as Batman has come to an end, while Robert Pattinson's Batman franchise is just getting started with a proper sequel, green-lit and in the works. Okay, this is what's now starting to confuse me. is
it's just starting to confuse you. That's the whole point. Is confusing.
Okay, in what was known as the Snyderverse, the DC is
yes.
Is what is continuity and what isn't continuity at this point? This is what
that is exactly, I think, the crux.
Is Batman going to run into what's his name?
I don't know. I think that is the crux. I mean, that is exactly the crux of what Zaslav is getting at. It's what I've always said. I mean, you could say the same thing about Superman. You've got the Smallville Superman. You've got the CW Superman that's now the Clark and Lois, or Superman and Lois, or whatever the frick they're calling it. You've got the Henry Cavill Superman, right? I'm sorry, you cannot forget, the Christopher Reeve Superman, right? And none of these are all in canon with each other. They tried that with Superman Returns. I think you could absolutely make. It was going to ignore 3 and 4. You can make the but you don't even have to. This is something I pointed out to a lot of people, that the second and third, or the third and the fourth movie still could have happened. It's just that they were separate stories that were self-contained. Did
the fourth movie really need to happen?
It could have been done better. The story itself was sound. They just didn't implement. And let's face it, they cheaped out too.
I felt so. You want to listen to one of the most depressing audio commentaries on a movie? Listen to the audio commentary of the screenwriter for Superman 4 on the Superman 4 disc from Warner Brothers, because he just starts explaining everything that went wrong, and he's saying there's this wonderful scene where Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor is back and talking to Christopher Reeve Superman. It's just classic. Their exchange of dialogue. It's brilliant. And then Nuclear Man shows up. It's like, this is a guy out of an old Steve Reeves Hercules movie. He's like a villain from that. It just ruins the entire thing.
I'll tell you something else. They did a Superman 78 comic book. It was a limited run. I think it was 6 issues or something like that. And it was basically what it I don't know how much it reflects, but it's definitely inspired by the original idea for Superman 3. It's what they wanted to originally do with Superman 3. And it's actually kind of brilliant. It deals with Brainiac, and it even brings back Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor, having gotten out of prison at the end of the second one on parole or something like that, and he's enlisted by Superman to help them because
Brainiac is that much.
Yeah. And
that would have been a cool movie, actually.
And they play at the whole thing about Lex Luthor, because the comics always had Lex Luthor and Brainiac teaming up against Superman and stuff, but there's also that element of, hey, Earth is my world too, and I keep my stuff here, so you
got that a little bit on the Superman the Animated Series and Justice League, how Luthor would deal with Darkseid. Earth is still my planet too, because there's like when the first invasion happens, you see Darkseid giving a speech, and you just see Luthor just sitting there in his office, very pensive, thinking, "Oh crap, what are we gonna do about this?" But let me see. I see how it plays out, though. I did like Pattinson's Batman.
Holy crap!
What?
Look at the comments.
What? Who's there?
Yeah. Zaslav excuse me, where is it? Disney just announced Bob Chapek is resigning and Bob Iger is back.
You're what?
Yes, and I just confirmed it. It's in Hollywood, The Wrap, CNBC, and Variety. Bob Iger replaces Bob Chapek as Disney CEO. That's it. It's over, guys. Say goodbye to Star Wars. Say goodbye to Marvel. Say goodbye to all the shit. It's done.
Because all the crap we were dealing with was holdover from Iger's stay, and we were mad because we were saying that Chapek wasn't doing enough to take care of it.
So all of you people saying that Bob Chapek was playing 4D chess and blah 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 blah, well, he just lost.
Chapek never had any power. I think that's what I think this is just showing me. He was never in charge of the company. He looked no. Remember I was telling you when we were doing that interview of him a couple weeks back, and I was reading about his interview from the guy from Forbes. He looked like a man with no soul, like on that stage, like just didn't care. He knew in that interview something was happening, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He probably knew he was out, and just like he's just okay. What are the lines I have to say so I can retire? That's all that was happening there. He just looked like some guy that just didn't care.
Hold on a second. I am
goodness.
going to go ahead and drop this.
Go ahead.
Scrap that. Drop this.
Anyway, the fourth Batman, by the way, like I said, I think was supposed to be the one who would emerge in those Joker movies that we're seeing. But again, that's just speculation on my part. What isn't speculation is, well, might as well do this now. Disney shocker: Bob Iger returning as CEO. Bob Chapek exits. Do you want to read a little bit from that, Troy, or should I? I can.
Yeah, let me, I think I still have it. Here we go. In a stunning turn of events, the Walt Disney Company says that Bob Chapek will step down as CEO, with Bob Iger returning to lead the company. We thank Bob Chapek for his service to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic, said Susan Arnold, chairman of the board.
Oh, no.
The board has concluded that as Disney embarks on an increasingly complex period of industry transformation, Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. That's all we got, guys. That's from Hollywood Reporter.
They're done.
I've lost complete hope for Disney. I am done. Don't tell me how much you enjoy Andor. I don't want to hear what you think about Mandalorian anymore. I don't care what you think the future of Star Wars is. I don't care what you think about the end of Phase 4, the beginning of the MCU. I don't give a crap anymore. I'm done. I am not supporting Disney in any way anymore. I'm out.
You know it's going to get worse now.
I know. That's the whole point here.
It's official. Disney is dead now. Now they're just arguing about how they're going to cut up the corpse. Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you. Speaking of which, I'm telling you that Disney, that statue of Walt, that'll be out of there by the end of the decade, if not sooner. Maybe by the end of next year. Maybe that'll be my prediction for the end of the year thing, that they're going to remove that statue from the park, take Walt's name off of everything. It's going to happen. I mean. Oh, Indy 5. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, and there you go. There's another one that's as good as dead to me now. Absolutely. Screw it.
I'm telling you, my idea for that is that Marion and his son would have died in a car crash, and due to his own negligence as a drunk driver, and he would have been all depressed in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Just because we have to have him the one be responsible for killing his family. I'm not saying that's happening, but I'm saying they whatever you want to say about Crystal Skull, it kind of gave Indy kind of a happy ending.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say about the flaws in that movie, you kind of get a happy ending. Whereas, as we know now,
all right, you want to get back on track because fuck Disney.
Okay, Gunn and Safran meanwhile have said they're working on a grand 8 to 10 year plan for the DC universe, and it very much sounds like it will closely resemble a more unified Marvel Cinematic Universe rather than splitting off into multiple realities. All this is to say, while The Flash was seemingly originally intended to open the DC universe up to a multiverse in a way that would allow for multiple Batman franchises to exist at the same time, Zaslav and company are now seem keen on scaling that back. Apparently they're going to announce something soon. Part of me is wondering if they're just going to try to wrap things up and do a soft reboot.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a soft reboot or a pivot, as Midnight's Edge was talking about recently. I think that's exactly what they're doing. I think they're wrapping up what they've got, and they're going to start thinking through what they want to do going forward. And I think a big part of that is going to be James Gunn. I think James Gunn is being brought in to help them sunset the Snyderverse and pivot into something new.
We'll see what that new thing is. Do you want to do the next article?
I did. I dropped it.
Okay. Marvel fans showing franchise fatigue. What?
And I'm sorry, I still don't buy franchise fatigue. We're tired of crap. We're tired of being served gruel when we want an actual meal.
No, we're also tired of being yelled at and called Islamophobes every time we argue that something isn't good.
Yeah. It's if they were putting out all good quality stuff and people weren't showing up, you could say, yeah, that's brand fatigue. This is not brand fatigue. This is shit fatigue. We're tired of the crap.
Do you remember the movie Blade?
Sure, I do.
Blade was a huge success. Blade, in my opinion, it wasn't Spider-Man or even X-Men that revived the superhero genre. It was Blade. Because Blade came on the cusp of Batman and Robin, which many saw as killing off whatever hope the superhero genre had. But you got Blade, and Blade was a kick-ass movie with a black leading man actor, with a black actress as his, not even as his love interest, just as his companion in the movie, right?
Right.
And she was a smart scientist, and no one blinked an eye.
And I would argue too that it was the success of the Tim Burton Batman, the failure of the Joel Schumacher, and the success of Blade that demonstrated the template. It sent the clear message: a comic book character can be successful if you take it seriously. If you try to camp it up, it's gonna suck.
Yeah. Let me see. Back to DC. All I want is a good Superman film, and if at all possible, a DC universe like the animated DC animated universe. Still going through Star Wars Rebels anyway. Probably going to get to the Mandalorian at some point, but take forever to watch things. Rebels had its good points.
Yeah,
I at least gave them points for how they ended it. I thought that wasn't bad, but
on the topic at hand, this idea of independent superhero movies. Look, throw yourself back to the late 70s, early 80s, right? When, you know, for all that I've said about the Joel Schumacher Batman, right? You know, they threw in lines like the circus is probably halfway to Metropolis by now. And it's like, okay, just one line connected Superman and Batman as being in the same universe, right? It's a shared universe. They don't actually have to be crossing over, right? So yeah, do your Wonder Woman, do your Aquaman, do your Batman, do your Superman. You don't have to have them cross over, but every now and again, a little Easter egg. You know, somebody reading the Daily Planet or the Gotham Globe, you know, or whatever, or there's a headline about something Wonder Woman did, a reference to one of the other movies. They're all taking place in the same universe, the same world. They're just not immediately interacting.
It would be cool to have the Legion of Doom show up, though, at some point.
They don't have the skill to manage that. That's the problem.
It's not super fatigue, although Disney keeps throwing too many mediocre to downright terrible superhero films. The side of No Way Home, none of Phase 4 was memorable. Watchable comparable to the earlier phases. Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard.
And all of this multi-universe shit, you know, whether it's, you know, the Wanda Multiverse of Madness movie or it's the Spider-Verse thing, it's all just a weak sauce way of saying, we give up. We can't make it all make sense. So it's all happened. It's all out there. Whatever. You know? And it's like, no, not whatever. Okay? Because we the fans want a certain canon. We want there to be some cohesion. And if you're not willing to give that to us, we get tired and walk away. We're tired of putting up with the bullshit. That's the fatigue we have.
So let's see. It says over 1/3 of Marvel fans feel fatigued from all the constant stream of content served in theaters and on Disney Plus this year, according to a new study released on Thursday by fan platform Fandom. But the study also shows that Marvel fans are also more inclined to watch any Marvel project in comparison to DC fans, who are in turn more likely to consume film and TV about a specific superhero rather than the entire DC catalog.
Well, that's because they never managed to pull off a shared universe for DC. The
closest they got was, unfortunately, those CW shows.
The CW shows, which sucked and didn't have an audience. They really didn't. They lost audience year after year. because again, people got tired of the crap and the bullshit and the pontification and the preaching, and they walked away from it.
Yeah, I heard some people got upset with how Black Lightning was treated in that show. I didn't see it myself, but...
Damn right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Here you've got yourself, your representative character, and you did nothing with him, and you treat him like shit. But you have no problem race swapping out a white character and making them black, essentially blackface. I mean, that's your idea of representation, apparently.
Auditor makes a good point. Notice no one is talking about Ant-Man 3. Not even the patient comic book sites are talking about it. Yeah, no one cares about the third Ant-Man. You figure in the past they would be all over that.
Well,
and
of course not. They're calling it Ant-Man. It's about, the white guy. Although he'll certainly be replaced by his daughter and his girlfriend, and
some are
it's not even going to be about him.
Well, some argue Ant-Man and the Wasp was actually supposed to be about the Wasp, but anyway. But what was I going to say though? What else did we have? We have actually, what else no one is talking about? I was thinking about this the other day. Is anybody hyped for the new James Cameron movie, the Avatar sequel?
No.
Is anybody talking about it?
It's a sequel that did not need to happen. Once again,
I mean, maybe he'll pull it off because Cameron manages, when everybody doubts him, he pulls it off. So I don't know. I'm not going to count him out, but
we'll see. But it's going to cost so damn much.
We're not there yet, but it comes out late around the holidays, right? December, so maybe a couple of weeks before it comes out, the hype train will really spur up. But
but it'll be interesting to see if it really has any legs. It'll get, hey, we've got the holiday, we need to do something with the family, let's go see this movie, and then it's done. Because here's the problem. This is another one of those huge budget films that needs to make over $1 billion to actually break even. And it's not going to do that. Because the market can't bear it anymore.
Those are a few of the extensive findings of the study which drew. Okay. This article brings up some points that I thought was interesting. Those are a few of the extensive findings in the study which drew from a survey of 5,000 entertainment and gaming fans between 13 and 54 years old, as well as what fandom terms proprietary insights from its platform for over 300 million monthly users across 250,000 different wikis. You getting all this, Troy? You making notes?
No.
The most intriguing assertion of the study is that fans can be broken down to 4 subcategories of roughly descending order of intensity. The first group are known as the advocates. They are the core fan base, described as deeply invested in the IP, so much that it's part of who they are. They are most likely to watch content within the first few days of its release. Some franchises with a high number of advocates include Marvel, Rick and Morty, Harry Potter, DC, Star Wars, and Stranger Things.
Okay.
Crickets. Okay, next down the run letter. The intentionalists. These fans, which on an average make up the largest segment of a franchise's fan base, are more discerning, influenced by marketing and strong reviews, storytelling themes, and actors and filmmakers behind the projects. They'll most likely watch within the first 2 weeks. Franchises with a high number of intentionalists include The Sex Lives of College Girls, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul, The Handmaid's Tale, Game of Thrones, and Only Murders in the Building. The culturalists are the third group. They are heavily influenced by the buzz surrounding a popular release and see watching as an opportunity to connect with friends and family, as well as a larger cultural conversation.
We call them posers.
Okay. Will you take this seriously? Come on.
I am serious. What they are saying, I am interpreting.
Listen, they like shows like Chicago Fire, Ted Lasso, True Detective. Hopefully not the second season. The Challenge, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The Flirt, as the name implies, they are the dabblers who are most interested in entertainment they can come in and out of, and will allow them to find common ground with others around them. They'll most likely watch what they when they have the time. Franchises with a large number of flirts include a large number of legacy shows like The Office, SpongeBob SquarePants, Gilmore Girls, South Park, and Friends, as well as reality shows like The Bachelor and Real Housewives.
And these are unfortunately the same kind of people that do most of the Twitter tweeting about whatever social issue is related to this. They don't really care that much about the show, though. Unfortunately, they're the ones that these IP owners are listening to the most because they think that Twitter is real life.
Yes, Chris Gore has a very good video. I think basically it's about the elephant in the room, and he says, "What's the elephant in the room?" And he says, "The elephant in the room is stop listening to Twitter."
Yeah,
it's the studios. Stop
that's
listening.
Exactly right. Well, and I would say, we tend to say Twitter when we mean all of social media because, just like Xerox and photocopy, right? Because now TikTok is entering into that realm as well, making the pivot to the next article.
I think I was hearing an article the other day or a news story the other day about how in China the TikTok is being used to educate the kids and send them important stuff, and over here it's used for nonsense.
Yep, because it's owned by China. China has a different priority for
their children as opposed to ours.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
The words fan and super fan are used constantly to describe consumers of entertainment, but those terms are too generic for today's entertainment world. Fandoms are complex, says fandom CMO Stephanie Fried in a statement. Understand the layers of fan identity and authentically connecting with them at the right time and right place will be key for marketers looking to maximize success through across streaming, theatrical, and video game releases.
Look, this is what it comes down to. They're thinking this through too hard. And they're getting too intersectional with it, okay? There are fans and there are casual viewers. That's what there are. And they are trying to make everything for the casual viewer. And if you do that, you don't ever have fans. You're literally alienating the fans and you're destroying the reason you have an IP. You have to create it for the fans and allow it to organically bring in new fans. That's the only way these IPs work. Otherwise, just go out there and do a generic film. Do another rom-com. Do another biopic. Do another whatever, okay? But if you're going to focus on the IP, you got to focus on the fan.
Okay. Next article. Let's move on.
Yep. I got to do this in 2 parts because this is one of those ones that's too long.
YouTuber Courtney Michelle reports TikTok censored her video criticizing Black Panther Wakanda Forever as quote-unquote feminist propaganda. Yeah, this is an interesting little
very interesting, yeah.
Not long. You can check it out. It's connected in the article as well. You can click to it from there. YouTuber and TikTok Courtney Michelle reports that TikTok censored a video that criticized Black Panther Wakanda Forever as feminist propaganda. Michelle shared her thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever to TikTok and to YouTube back in November 11th. She stated, "So I just left seeing Wakanda Forever and I am pissed. I am pissed because it pushing an agenda was a movie. This would be the forefront of that. This was Woman King on steroid. If you think that I'm going to believe that 100-pound black woman soaking wet is just an almighty warrior and can just body dudes like it's no tomorrow, come on." She then suggested the land of Wakanda should be renamed, like instead of Wakanda, it should have been called been called Where Are the Men? Because they were not there, they were not present, and the ones that were there were just weak. But all the women that was in the movie were just brolic built, strong Hercules. She then questioned what is this saying to us, perpetuating the idea that strong black woman and a subservient black effeminate man. I think it's just disgusting. I'm completely upset about the movie. Michelle continued, "Man, did this Kyrie Irving didn't teach me anything. It's when you put your life, your career in the hands of other people that don't look like you, then they can make you do whatever they want you to do." Yeah, she's making this a reference to when her thing got banned, her video got banned.
And Auditor Dredd asked, "Do we know how well Wakanda Forever is tracking?" They said it was projected to do worse than Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, it actually is tracking just like that. The most up-to-date numbers that I have heard are from Valiant Renegade. If you're not following him, you really should. He very much follows the numbers on these things. And in the first week, it did kind of comparable to the first week of the original Black Panther film, but in its second week, it did not even as well as the third week of the first Black Panther. So it's already tracking to have less legs than the original movie by half. And yeah, that's actually worse than Doctor Strange 2. And it's not looking good at all.
Black Panther 2, How to Kill a Franchise. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Yeah.
I mean, there's always the possibility it might pick up a little bit in the Thanksgiving weekend, but I'm not holding my breath, especially not after this news we just heard tonight.
So goes on to say in a recent video upload, Michelle reports that TikTok has removed the video for attacks and slurs on the basis of protected attributes. She explains, so yesterday I made a post about Wakanda Forever and how I thought it perpetuated the idea of the strong, independent black woman and the feminization of emasculation of black men. Posted on TikTok, and this is what I got. A violation, okay? They removed my video, she asserted. Michelle continued. Now, mind you, it was hitting almost 100,000 and they removed it because of my opinion. I didn't attack anyone. I didn't make any kind of derogatory slurs, but because I gave my opinion on what I think being propagated through the media time and time again to black people, I got a violation. If y'all don't see the silencing of people's opinion that's different and that's not willing to go with the go along to get along, you know I'm going to obviously appeal, but I was hot. Who am I discriminating against? I'm a black woman. I can talk about black people. I'm hot, she concluded. So anyway, yeah. So she is right. If anyone can, I mean, not if we're going even by the quote unquote social justice rules, if anyone can talk about these things, it would be her because she's the demographic.
Yep.
Right. And she's saying, but you don't have the right opinion for that demographic. That's basically what they're saying.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And I am seeing this more and more often. There are a number of black female commentators that I follow on YouTube that are saying a lot of the same things. Why? Because it hits them personally. It's like, what do I want for my sons and my daughters and my brothers and sisters, right? I see this in my community and I see it as a problem. And this messaging hurts us. It doesn't help us. This is not the kind of representation that is healthy for us. And then, you hear people like Mexican Iron Man, who's like, yeah, not only are we not being represented and disrespected, but all of our white friends are being disrespected. And that doesn't help us at all.
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody in the end of the day. And,
but then again, you get back into our... the whole argument is, well, but these are private companies and private companies can do whatever they want, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, but now we see the social engineering that happens because of this. And who owns TikTok? Anyone? Bueller?
The CCP?
Yes. Yes. We just said it a little while ago. They're using it to send positive message to their children, and they're using it to divide our country over here, which is why I've never used TikTok. Never once. Never will download it. Never will use it.
No, I've never even looked at it myself. All right, let's move on to the next one. More Marvel stuff. Yay.
Yep.
Marvel has said...
Thanks so much, by the way, Deleted Scenes. He's not only dropping the links for us and for everyone here in the chat, but everyone that I mention. So I'm not making it easy on him, I guess.
He's only one sub away from 150. Come on, someone in the chat, anyone.
If there's anyone who is not subscribed to Deleted Scenes, please go subscribe to him just because he makes this show what it is. He helps, he really, really does.
Troy Pacelli. Oh, this is the next thing. MCU full-on mode. Every Avenger seems to have a female version now.
Yep.
What's the matter? You don't like Win?
Yeah, I had somebody ripping into me in a comment section about that. And it's like, you're just a dumbass. You are just a freaking dumbass if that's all you see.
I don't like corporate schlock, but anyway, let's move
on.
Marvel said girl power, quite literally. It's a new era in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and has some fans. that basically every original Avenger now seems to have some sort of female version. It's not always about them being directly replaced, as some of those versions are variants. For instance, Peggy Carter has never become Captain Britain in the main universe, only on Earth 616. Yeah, but she could have been, and she would have been better than Steve Rogers.
Yeah, of course.
So it looks like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, and the rest of Earth's mightiest heroes already have a female.
I'll bet you she wouldn't have gone back in time for Steve.
Yeah,
just saying.
However, it's not a signal that OG original fans can pound to the alarm that their favorite heroes are going woke. As some fans pointed out, the lineup of new female characters is actually a compilation of different characters from various teams. For instance, Jane Foster, aka Mighty Thor, has only appeared in one movie, and not only she never replaced the actual Thor, but also died at the end. Why'd she die at the end?
I didn't see it, but in the comics it was cancer.
Okay, at least two prominent female characters from the lineup might soon discover themselves as part of the Young Avengers team, while others have their own affiliations. One fan sarcastically noted that it's nice to see the female Black Widow, as the male version was so annoying. Obviously, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, is the only original Avenger who never even needed a female variant in the first place. Some fans suggested that it would be amazing to see a movie that would feature a lineup like the one presented in the tweet by Heroic Hollywood. But others immediately dismissed the idea. This is going to bomb horribly. No one wants an all-female, gender-bent Avengers filled with hate by the majority of the fan base, including the all-male demographic. Sorry, I'm just speaking facts. The majority of the fan base are men who grew up reading comics. Twitter user Howling Wolf Joey noted. However, the chance of such a movie to come out are quite low, to be frank, with at least two dead characters and several people from rivaling teams who might not be overly into each other. An all-female Avengers movie is not something that is likely to happen in the coming decade. Still, it's nice to know that old characters have a new generation of superheroes to rely on, and plenty of this generation's representatives are women.
Look, this comes down to exactly what we said when we saw it coming up, okay? Instead of focusing on the classics that really kicked off the most successful era of the MCU, you know, the classic origins for these characters, the original formation of the Avengers, and so forth. Even leading up to the very, very popular Infinity War, you know, they decided, okay, now we're going to jump into the all new, all different Marvel era, which tanked Marvel Comics in print. Literally, it's what drove them into bankruptcy. Why do you think this is going to work better in live action? And Hasbro and all the other licensees are going, we can't sell female action figures. I'm sorry. Facts don't care about your feelings. It's a shame that, you know, women aren't treated 100% equal, and superhero action figures are generally bought by boys and not girls. You know, it just is. So when you put out Captain Marvel, Brie Larson figures, they don't sell and they go into liquidation. You know, it just, that's the way it is. And the Ant-Man figures, sorry, there's a lot of Wasp figures that ended up on discount. I mean, this has been true for decades. The female action figures do not sell. There are very, very few exceptions. Princess Leia sold just fine in the Star Wars line, and Scarlet and Baroness and Lady J did just fine in G.I. Joe. Okay? But the gender swap characters never do. Okay? And now let's take a look at, we're going back to the previous article. Let's take a look at Wakanda Forever, right? Mm-hmm. When Black Panther came out, those toys sold like hotcakes. The costumes sold like hotcakes. And let me tell you something. It wasn't just little black boys buying those toys. It was little white boys. It was little Asian boys. It was little boys, period. Okay? Now, No one's buying Shuri or Siri or whatever her name is, and certainly no one's buying frickin' Riri Williams.
Think about it though. Who do they have? They have Shuri as the new Black Panther, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you have Riri Williams as Ironheart.
Yeah.
Then you have Haley Steinfeld, who played. I guess she's the new Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So that's how many is that so far? That's 3.
That's 3.
America Chavez, that's 4.
Got She-Hulk now too.
She-Hulk is 5. Also,
and don't tell me that
Romanoff had a sister who was introduced in that Black Widow movie, who's still alive.
And don't tell me that Banner is still out there, because he's not getting his own damn movie. He's not getting his own damn series. Let's face it, She-Hulk is taking over. It is She-Hulk now.
That's at least 6. I've just counted just by running them off my head. So I'm sorry. And you can Wasp. And Wasp.
Whatever
7. Female Avengers right
feminist smartass can say is they killed off a Black Widow. So make all the jokes you want. She's dead. She ain't even in it anymore.
No, she's got her sister, who's going to obviously be the new Black Widow, played by that actress I don't care as much for.
Right, because everyone liked the original character. They killed her off because fuck redheads, apparently.
The new sister has a Russian accent too.
Oh, there you go. Hail communism, apparently.
No, it's the Ant-Man's daughter. There you go. That's number 8. You got 8. Yeah, that's at least 8 I counted so far. So
yeah,
Ms. Marvel, that's 9. If you bring Captain Marvel back, that's 10. That's at least 10. 10. Is
that right? Charlize Theron is the female Doctor Strange.
11. That's 11. You can do it for your female Avengers movie. You got enough. It's gonna happen.
Well, now it is. Now it certainly is.
Because reasons. I don't know.
No, they own the rights now. Deleted scenes. They do. They can't do that savage, testosterone-filled, male-centered Hulk. They got to do Soy Boy Hulk now.
I want to see that Hulk. I like the old Hulk that would go nuts and just, start smashing things. That's what I enjoyed. Even the Ang Lee Hulk movie had that going for it. Come on. This is just... okay, let's go to Spider-Verse. Talking about, speaking of multiverse.
Oh, sorry, I got behind here. Let me...
You paste that in already? Honestly.
I didn't paste it yet, but I'm getting it now. Sorry, I got so worked up about this last one.
So worked up about what? The fact that Disney is now being run by Bob Iger?
Disney is dead. Disney is dead. Period.
It's like in Star Wars Episode 9 when you find out the Emperor's still alive, which might have been a really cool ender for Last Jedi. Like, oh, the Emperor's still alive, but no, because they're writing these things as we go along. You have to stick it at the beginning of the next movie as the big reveal. So lame. So lame. Anyway, Spider-Verse just rewrote Marvel's entire Silver Age continuity. Yeah, Matt Newey, they Iger's back. You can look it up online. The trades are all gonna be about it tomorrow. Anyway, but more importantly, though, the Silver Age was the most important era for Marvel because it was established there was iconic heroes. Now the Spider-Verse has rewritten its continuity. Warning contains spoilers for Spider-Man: End of the Spider-Verse #2. The entire Silver Age continuity of Marvel Comics has been rewritten thanks to the Spider-Verse. The Silver Age comics last between the mid-50s to 1970, is universally known for being the time when comic books were actually at their silliest due to the implementation of the Comics Code Authority in 1954. Comics took a huge hit in what could have been published because of the public outcry regarding horror comics like Tales from the Crypt. I know about this. The new system was notoriously strict, making sure that nothing could be viewed as by a PG audience would hit the comic shelves. This meant the comic book cards like Marvel and DC would have to adapt to continue sharing stories. Here's what I understand, though. They're talking all about this, but the Marvel comics that we know was started in this age at the Comics Code Authority, so it was already written around those rules. And this is where you got our, Iron Man from, Spider-Man from, Fantastic Four from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've had to figure out a way to adapt to the code anyway. So I don't know what they're complaining about. Like Okay, anyway, what's interesting, though, is that some of Marvel's most well-known characters were products of the Silver Age and were able to skirt by the strict codes created by the CC. Heroes like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, when they were the most popular, were crafted with these rules in mind. Well, I guess that's what I just said. Okay, the design of Marvel Silver Age books are fairly sanitized, with their storytelling focused more on human aspects of the heroes and less on the violence caused by their crime fighting. The CC's original 1971 answered in the Bronze Age of comics, where heroes could explore darker stories. However, a lingering question remained in what would have come of Silver Age Marvel characters and how they would fit into its greater multiverse. Now the question has been answered. Spider-Man End of the Spider-Verse #2 by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Silk, and other Spider heroes are on the run from other members of the Spider-Verse under the control of Shathra in the multiverse's darkest story yet. The group is desperate to find a place in the multiverse to hide until they can regroup and come up with a plan. But it appears Shathra knows everywhere they go. However, Arana appears and takes them to a mysterious new dimension called Earth 616 Beta, which has a very eerie art style. It is remarkably similar to the pages of old Silver Age comics with its coloring and basic layout. Arana explains that this dimension is essentially a test run created to work out all of the kinks. It's located outside of the great web that makes up the Spider-Verse, meaning that it's a universe that isn't impacted by modern Marvel continuity. By changing the continuity of the Silver Age and make it its own entity, anything published before 1970 is in its own bubble. That means that the original origin for Spider-Man, the founding of the Fantastic Four, and the first time the Avengers assembled have been dubbed as a trial for what would come later. In a way, this actually makes sense. Comics from that time were known for being squeaky clean to appeal to the CCA, so characters like Spider-Man are very different from how they are now. When the Bronze Age came, stories like the death of Gwen Stacy and Iron Man's Demon in a Bottle were allowed to be published, forming the basis for fans' image of the characters today. This is such a clever concept to explain how the Silver Age version of Marvel characters are different from how they are now. It's still saying to fans that these comics exist, but due to the tonal differences created by the CCA, they're more like a beta test of outstanding stories that would come from it. The Silver Age will always be an iconic part of Marvel for how it created its heroes, but the way the Spider-Verse explained where it fits in continuity is a genius homage to its past. Andy Davis is a freelance comics. Okay, with screen.
Okay,
he wrote this.
So
what do you think?
The article says this is a clever way to. No, there's nothing clever about this. DC did it decades ago. Remember Earth 2 and Earth 1? Yeah, that's basically what this is. It's more multiverse bullshit to shift the timeline and ignore the past and start a new continuity. That's all it is. That's all this is. It's just Marvel has never done that time shift the way DC did.
Is it too late to ask Punisher versus the Marvel Universe? It's where he punishes everybody. Yeah, he has to go after and try and kill Captain America, because Captain America didn't murder the Red Skull when he had the chance, and Red Skull killed somebody. So Captain America is just as guilty as the Red Skull and should die. I'm trying to think of how that would work. The Punisher. I have to step away from try not to replace anyone while I'm gone. Laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You know, like the
yeah, we're gonna get Bob Iger in here to be a blue wrench from now on.
Punisher just goes nuts and figures everybody's evil and has to go, right?
Exactly.
Well. Anyway, I'm gonna say this though. Post the next one. This one I found kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
it kind of does go right into this, doesn't it?
What does Disney Plus sell?
Their
original series, correct?
Yeah.
Which is Marvel and Star Wars. But now it looks like Amazon will have their own Marvel series. You excited?
Yep. No.
How is this possible, you may ask?
I am not excited about anything over at Disney anymore. Well, I think that should be very clear by now.
Sony.
Oh, yeah, well, whatever.
Amazon is officially. This is Amazon. You know Amazon, the Rings of Power stream.
Oh yeah, Rings of Power. That I was real excited about that. Yeah.
Okay, Amazon is officially moving forward with multiple live-action shows based on Marvel characters, controlled by Sony. Variety has learned. The first series under the deal will be Silk Spider Society. which was developed by The Walking Dead showrunner Angela Kang, along with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Kang will serve as showrunner and executive produce on Silk as part of a new multi-year overall television deal she has signed on with Amazon. Kang, Lord, and Miller are executive produce along with former Sony boss Amy Pascal. Like Amy Pascal? Maybe not. Okay. Midnight Edge compared her to, what was it? The
almost as much as I like Amy Schumer.
I think Midnight Edge referred to her as the Kathleen Kennedy of Spider-Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sony Pictures Television is the studio, with Lord and Miller currently under an overall deal there. Silk Spider Society will debut domestically on MGM Plus's Neep Epic's linear channel, followed by a global launch on Prime Video. What the heck is MGM Plus?
I don't know. Another streaming service?
Have you heard of this?
No.
I thought MGM went to Amazon.
Well, there you go. Amazon. Isn't it Amazon with plans for this thing?
Oh, no, this is confusing me. The show is based on characters created by Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos for Marvel Comics. It follows Cindy Moon, described as a Korean-American woman bitten by the same spider that bit Peter Parker, as she escapes imprisonment and searches for her missing family on her way to becoming the superhero known as Silk. So I have a question going forward. Will this then take place in the MCU with Tom Holland, i.e. being the same spider that bit Tom Holland, or will this take place in the Venomverse? Or will this take place in its own universe with its own Spider-Man?
Exactly the problem you run into with all this multi-universe bullshit, which is why, I appreciate what Zaslav is saying about what he's doing with DC. This makes no freaking sense.
Amy Pascal, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Sony's recent live-action animated reimagining of the Spider-Man franchise has represented some of the most dynamic superhero storytelling in film, says Jennifer Salke, head of Amazon Studios. Together with Angela Kang's creative vision, we couldn't be more pleased to bring Silk Spider Society to our MGM Plus and Prime Video customers. I have a question. Are people going to know this is related to Spider-Man? Like the average viewer, like the
again, exactly. This is you're counting on fans, because the average viewer is going to be like, what's this? And they're going to have to rely on Wikipedia to tell them. Is this a character from the comics? Let me look this up.
The Silk series and other shows based on Sony-controlled Marvel characters originally reported as being in the works back in September 2022. At the time, Lauren Moon was writing Silk, while it was reported in 2021 that Tom Spezzoli had joined the series as showrunner as part of its own Amazon overall deal. We can't wait to... Okay, so... I don't know. Angela is a pros pro whose perspective and creativity we greatly respect and admire, added Lord and Miller. Okay, I don't know. I have a question. At the end of Morbius's girlfriend, she drank some of his blood and became a vampire, but Morbius had noticed it, and I assume that she's going to be her own vampire character. Could she show up on Silk, or maybe in her own Amazon spin-off series? Because I know they can't do a Morbius series, because Jared Leto can't just do an Amazon series. What do you think?
I did want to say one. I wanted to interject one quick aside. Valiant Renegade went live with Cameron Pasha and some others. They're talking about the news about Iger and Chapek, and they look. Everybody in the panel looks like they're at a fucking funeral.
Are their faces ashen?
Yeah. But anyway, that's beside the point. And they're so far into it. Even if you were to leave us now, you're just going to want to go and catch it on the repeat later. But yeah, back to this.
Well, I can already tell you how they're going to do this. Not really. Even when Silk was introduced, she sounded like a Horny Teens fan fiction. Anytime Peter and Cindy are in the room, their pheromones set off and attract each other to jump into their bones. They'll change that to Spider-Gwen instead. It'll be Spider-Gwen instead of Spider-Man. This will be the universe Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man. What do you think?
That actually would be a much more interesting way to do it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That would actually make some sense.
They may end up. We'll see. All right, I'm moving on.
Especially since he has no MJ in his universe. Who gives a fuck?
To date, Sony has released the live-action films Venom and its sequel Let There Be Carnage, starring Tom Hardy, as well as Morbius starring Jared Leto. Y'all of you who haven't seen Morbius, eighth wonder of the world.
It's Morbin time.
No, eighth wonder of the world. Really stupendous superhero film where the main character floats around like a flying squirrel. And you can see Matt Smith dance with his shirt off.
Well, that might be fun.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
Well, I mean, I saw Dr. Her topless, so why not?
A third Venom film is currently in development, while Sony is also working on film versions of characters like Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson, among several others. I'm telling you, the possibilities are endless with the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
What are they going to have left for the Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU if they're going to be using all these characters in their own things?
Oh, they're not. They're just going to bring in their own version of Spider-Gwen.
No, they can do the clone storyline.
Oh, gosh. No, there is not. No, that I could totally see them going with Spider-Gwen. We got Spider-Gwen, you got Spider-Man, and we're fine. You know, because the MCU.
How much? But yes, I know it's a mediocre movie, Matt Inouye. I was being sarcastic when I was talking about how much Fireball whiskey do I need to drink to watch Morbius? Quite a bit.
Oh, that could be fun. A rewatch of Morbius. But we all have to be drunk on the panel.
That'd be one to get Wolf 10 on for. That'd be funny.
I don't know. Last time I was drunk with Wolf 10 Media, I didn't even get a half hour into the stream. Netter had to put me to bed, and you had to do it all by yourself.
I know. I had to be the decrier of Van Helsing.
In fairness, that is pretty much how you became my designated driver. So
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Go to the next one. I don't care.
And this relates directly to what we were talking. You know, this is the obvious outcome of exactly what you were just talking about in the last article.
Stiltman should get his own movie. I agree. I'm not sure if I know who that is though. Amazon.
Stiltman was an old Spider-Man villain. His whole power was he had these boots that stretched out so that he was standing on stilts, like 10 stories tall and stuff. Yeah. And in the Who's Who for Marvel, they even had like schematics of how they worked and stuff like that. It was kind of stupid, but kind of cool.
Amazon reportedly plans to lay off about 10,000 employees starting this week. Yeah, this is, I have to say, you think it's a coincidence that it happened after a certain election recently? But of course, before the holidays, because you can't let your employees have a decent holiday, can you? Okay, Amazon is planning to...
Well, actually, I think a lot of people are saying that there's going to be a lot of layoffs at a lot of companies right after the first of the year.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about that because apparently these are the white collar workers, not the blue collar guys in the warehouses that are getting let go. I learned
people do not realize how bad the economy has gotten because they haven't felt it. You know, they see the prices, but they're like, "Well, I'm still getting by." Yeah, as people start losing their jobs, and look, I've been through this. A little wisdom from an old man. Okay. If you lose your job, it sucks. If you don't lose your job, it also sucks because you're going to be doing the work of the guy next to you that got let go.
Yeah, I've been there. That happened to me too, being the one who didn't get let go, but then you're doing double work. That's happened.
Yep, and you don't make more money.
No, you don't. Yeah, they will not give you a raise to save their life. Okay, but anyway, old job years back. Amazon is planning to lay off approximately 10,000 employees in corporate and technology roles beginning this week, according to a report from the New York Times. Separately, the Wall Street Journal also cited sources that the company plans to lay off thousands of employees. Shares of Amazon closed down about 2% on Monday. The cuts would be the largest in the company's history. It would primarily impact Amazon's devices organizations, retail division, human resources. According to the report, the reported layoffs will represent 1% of Amazon's global workforce and 3% of its corporate employees. A lot of people are getting laid off. I hear Microsoft's laying people off too. That's another thing I heard about.
Sounds about right.
But Amazon did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Holiday shopping season is critical for Amazon, and usually one where the company has increased its headcount to meet demand. The company has already announced plans to freeze hiring for corporate roles in its retail business. In recent months, Amazon shut down its telehealth service, discontinued a quirky video calling project for kids, closed all but one of its U.S. call centers, axed its roving delivery robot, shuttering underperforming brick-and-mortar chains, and is closing, canceling, delaying some new warehouse locations. Okay, so that's not good.
Nope.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting very worried about the new year. But we'll see what happens. Paramount enters multi-year production pact with DC film with DC Films veteran Walter Hamada. What do you think, Walter Hamada? He's like the cat that lands on.
Wait a minute, I've fallen behind in my duties because I was responding to somebody in the chat.
All right.
There we
go. You're on the Valiant Renegade stream saying
no. No, I'm trying to do too much here. I can't really pay any attention over there.
I'm going to have to watch that after, though.
I am too, yeah.
You say it's like a graveyard over there? It's like, okay, or like a... Okay. Okay, Paramount enters multi-year production pact with DC Films veteran Walter Hamada. You excited, Walter Hamada? Huh? Let's
Not really.
Here's some big news in the wake of former DC film boss Walter Hamada departing Warner Bros. Discovery. He's landed at Paramount Pictures as an exclusive multi-year production year deal. Huge gain there for the Melrose lot with an executive who not only steered DC to its highest-grossing movie in Aquaman with $1.1 billion worldwide, but also was behind the Conjuring franchise, the highest-grossing horror series ever, with more than $2 billion in global box office. Hamada's deal starts January 1st, and he'll be the architect of Paramount's mainstream horror genre pod, with the mission to release several low to mid-budget films per year across theatrical and streaming. Paramount has a major win this fall with horror movie Smile, which was destined for Paramount Plus, but pivoted to a theatrical release, where it amassed close to $210 million worldwide, with more than $100 million of that stateside. Did Walter Hamada have anything to do with that? Why are you just throwing that in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they just stated that there, and I'm like, that's fine. What does that have to do with Walter Hamada? Are they thinking that he's going to do horror movies for Paramount? Maybe. That was smart, though. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good profit, probably compared to what the movie cost. With his track record for ground-based success, Walter is the ideal partner and visionary to build our mainstream horror genre franchise business. Okay, so they want him on board for horror. Said Paramount Pictures President CEO Brian Robbins. As evidenced by the fantastic performance of Smile, there's a tremendous appetite for original, high-concept storytelling in the global marketplace, and we look forward to a long, successful partnership. You know, I am going to say this. This is probably smart on Paramount part. What are Hamada's strengths? He probably was pretty good with the whole horror thing over at Warner Brothers, right?
Maybe.
Movies that cost little to make, but make pretty good. I mean, they're not going to make Avengers numbers, but they're going to make a good profit compared to what they cost to make. So, I don't know, maybe. Plus, I think at this point, the Conjuring universe is getting stale. So maybe it's good if he starts on something new. I am thrilled to collaborate with Paramount Pictures with the singular goal of creating exceptional movies in the horror genre. Over the course of my career, nothing has been more gratifying than discovering emerging first-time filmmakers and writers and unleashing their brilliance in a studio setting. Thank you, Brian, and the entire team at Paramount Pictures for this tremendous opportunity. I can't wait to get started. So here's what I'm going to say on this. His strengths may actually lie in the horror genre, and maybe he was the wrong pick to lead DC in superhero movies. Maybe this is where he belongs, and I wish him the best. Maybe we'll get something good out of this. You never know. What's your opinion? I'd like to know.
I'm just glad he's gone from DC Film, to be honest with you. I'm
trying to.
I mean, what does does Paramount do those Conjuring films? Who does the Conjuring films?
Warner Brothers.
Oh, that's Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, what does Paramount have going as far as horror?
Every studio has their own branch of horror movies. I know that Universal, they have their Blumhouse movies. Paramount, I think Paramount, they did those The Quiet Place movies. That's when them. You know,
Oh, okay.
so they do their own thing, and they're probably looking to expand into horror because let's face facts, horror movies cost little to make and make a lot of money compared to what they make. The other movie genre that used to do that were comedies back when you were allowed to make comedies. So
yeah, I kind of don't care. I mean, because like I said, I can't think of what kind of horror Paramount is doing. I don't give a crap about Paramount. Paramount is the home of, JJ Trek. So
Walter Matthau should hire Ray Fisher over in Paramount. Ha ha ha. It's also the home of Maverick. Of course, technically that's more of a studio that they have to work with. Kind of like Warner Brothers and Legendary, like it's like they
exactly.
Skydance? That's Tom Cruise has an investment in.
I am as done with Paramount as I am with Disney, so this doesn't affect me in the slightest. I'm just glad he's out of the DC business.
Dude, what are you talking about in my chat?
Yeah, you just caught it.
And I'll pretend like I don't know who that is.
Which implies that you do know.
I have no idea who that is. Anyway.
But you'll be Googling her after, probably after Valiant Renegade.
Maybe if they get Steven Soderbergh to direct Spider-Gwen, he'll cast her.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Quentin Tarantino says we're living through the worst era in Hollywood history. What?
Yeah, that's more true today than it was when he said it.
Okay, go ahead and post it. Quentin Tarantino says, okay. Quentin Tarantino doesn't think the state of modern filmmaking is exactly marvelous. That pun intended. Saying it in the recent episode of the Video Archives podcast that our current era is tied for the worst era of Hollywood. Via NME, he told his co-host Robert Avery, even though the 80s was the time that I probably saw more movies in my life than ever, at least as far as going out to the movies was concerned, I do feel the 80s cinema along with the 50s is the worst era in Hollywood history, matched only by the current era. The 1950s saw a decline in moviegoing as moviegoers shifted to television, and the 1980s Hollywood moved away from the inventiveness that characterized the 70s to chase the next big summer blockbuster. Similar themes plagued filmmaking today as audience seem to prefer home streaming for almost every title that doesn't come with a $200 million budget. But just because things are bleak doesn't mean that Tarantino doesn't find movies to love. He's added that the blockbuster drudgery only increases his appreciation for the films that don't conform, the ones that stand out from the pack. Tarantino did spend a lot of time on the superhero movies. The conversation was in some ways a continuation of his recent comments in which he called Marvel directors hired hands and opined that today's filmmakers can't wait for the day when they can work on something else. He's been in a reflective mood as of late, not just because of his own cinematic career is coming to an end after his next feature film. His recent release, the nonfiction Cinema Speculation, and he spent the last 2 weeks on a book tour. If you'd like to revisit our ranking of all Tarantino's films from best to worst, from worst to best. I didn't realize he has a movie coming out still. I thought he was done after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I did too, but I guess.
It'd be cool if it was that horror movie project he kept saying he was going to do, but... I think he's a little harsh on 80s movies. I understand that 80s did really usher in. I mean, it did start in the 70s, but they really did usher in the blockbuster film. But at least 80s blockbusters were still good.
Yeah,
I mean, for the most part.
Good point.
You can still watch them today, and 80s was a great decade for comedies. Some of my favorite comedies are from the 80s. I kind of get what he's saying about the 50s, though. The 50s did have some good movies, but let's face facts. I think that the movies we watch from the 50s are the ones that have stood the test of time, and there's probably a lot of stuff we wouldn't want to go revisit now. But
that's true.
We did get Deborah Paget in a German movie in 1959 dancing with a snake, but anyway, I'm sorry. So the 50s could have been all bad. Okay, let's move on. Actually, any comments on that?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, deleted scenes. I know what I'm thinking of, and never mind. Just let's move on from this conversation. Bradley Cooper to play Frank Bullitt in Steven Spielberg's new original movie based on the classic Steve McQueen character.
I didn't have that in my notes, did I?
You didn't. I had to add it at the end because you.
I'm sorry, I screwed up. I got it into the thumbnail.
I'll paste it. Yeah, you put in the thumbnail. Thank you. I'm just messing with you.
Jeez, it's like, my God.
I got him early, but you missed an article. I realized and added it in. Okay, so of course my thing's all messed up because That's too long of a title. Well, you get the picture. Bradley Cooper, huh? Rocket Raccoon?
Oh
Anybody?
yeah, I love the guy. He's great. I
He's
like.
actually an underrated actor, I
I
think.
like Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless. He was in that. He's in a really good horror movie based on Clive Barker's story.
And I was just looking up who Sasha Grey was. I had no idea.
Oh, for the love of Mike, can you
I
stop
seriously
saying
didn't.
certain names on my? This is a family stream, please.
Yeah. Not when I'm going off about Disney. I don't think there's anything family friendly about it tonight.
I gotta do another cut and paste. Honestly. Okay, let's cut and paste so we can just do the separate things. Okay, this is from Deadline. Bradley Cooper to play Frank Bullitt in Steven Spielberg's new original movie based on the classic Steve McQueen character. Lee Scene says he could make a good Bullitt. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I'm interested. Steven Spielberg looks to have found his Frank Bullitt, as sources tell Deadline. Bradley Cooper has closed the deal to play the no-nonsense San Francisco cop in the new original Bullitt story centered on the classic character famously played by Steve McQueen in the 1968 thriller, which is set up at Warner Brothers. Cooper will also produce the pick along with Spielberg and his producing partner Christy McCosco Krieger, marking their separate second collaboration after Maestro. With Josh Singer on board to pen the script, Steve McQueen's son, Chad, and granddaughter, Molly McQueen, will executive produce this new movie. Okay. Sources are adamant that this is not a remake of the original film, but a new idea centered on the character. In the original film, Frank Bullitt, a no-nonsense San Francisco cop on the hunt for the mob kingpin that killed his witness. Considered one of McQueen's more iconic roles, the film delivers one of the most famous car chase scenes in cinema history. Sources also add that the film is still in development. While Cooper's deal only recently closed, he and Spielberg have been talking about the character and what a new take on the story would look like, going all the way back to the pandemic when everyone was stuck in quarantine and had nothing but time on their hands. Cooper and Spielberg have been trying for years to team up on something, going all the way back to when the legendary director came close to directing Cooper in American Sniper. Spielberg ultimately moved on, and Clint Eastwood stepped in to direct the film. With Maestro, Spielberg had been developing it for years, and he came close to directing himself, but after being blown away by Cooper's A Star Is Born, Spielberg felt Cooper was better suited to not only star in the film, but direct the love story as well. So it looks like Bradley Cooper's work is moving on to becoming a director in his own right. Cooper is currently in post-production on Maestro, which he also co-wrote, directed, produced, and stars in alongside Carey Mulligan. The film will release on Netflix in 2023 with 9 Oscar nominations for both acting and producing. Cooper is one of the few actors, directors who have been able to combine critical acclaim with box office success. Cooper is directed by Range Media Partners. This movie, I have to say, out of a lot of the movies, this one is I'm very curious about. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Will it be period? Will it take place in the 60s like the original movie? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, and one of the things we were speculating the other day is, will it be a reboot or a remake or whatever, or will it be a sequel? Or, there's a lot of unknowns here.
I would just treat it like a sequel, like how in some ways Bullitt was almost like a progenitor for Dirty Harry. So you could, if it's a Dirty Harry style cop, you could basically just, I mean, he's not like Dirty Harry, but one of these tough on the streets cops. You could basically just do another movie with him, with that same character, just dealing with the stuff, And
yeah,
I know one of the big threads of the first Bullitt was apparently people in the police department higher up were connected to the mob, and that was part of the problems. So maybe he could be dealing with corrupt cops as well as the mob. So I don't know. I'm curious. I think this could be a good movie. It's Spielberg, and Spielberg knows how to do chase sequences. Let's be honest here.
That's true.
So
that is
I'm on board. I hope this turns out well. I'm on board with Bradley Cooper. It's not all negative here. I want to point that out. So I don't know. I think this could be a win. I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully it'll be a summer or holiday release, so I can have something to go see in the theater for once. Okay. Apparently deleted scenes mentions a news story in the chat. We were about to wrap up, but let's see. More sad news. This one hurts me personally. Was a fan who passed away.
Oh, let's see. Let me open.
Do you know who this is?
I don't. Nikki Acox
Let me go to Deadline.
from Supernatural dies at 47. Jeez.
I'm not that he died. It's funny. I was looking at the headline for the Disney shocker.
Yeah.
Where is he? Oh, there he is. Nikki. Oh no. Okay.
Do you know her?
She's not. They call her actress. Let me see. Reoccurring role in Supernatural has died. She was 47. The confirmation of actress that moved by sister-in-law Susan Rabb. I didn't watch Supernatural myself, but my beautiful, smart, fierce, incredibly talented, loving sister-in-law Nikki Acox Rabb passed away yesterday with my brother Matt Rabb by her side. Yikes! I guess she appeared on the Supernatural series between 2006 and 2008 in the role of Meg Masters and shared scenes with Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki. So yeah, I guess now she was a regular on the show. So I'm sorry she passed away.
47. My gosh,
that's young. You don't think it has anything to do with something else? Like you were mentioning at the beginning.
I'm not even gonna speculate because
she's been in a lot of television shows. She was in Cold Case, LAX, Ed, Law and Order, Las Vegas, Dark Blue, U.S. High, Dark Angel, Ally McBeal, The X-Files, Boy Meets World, Providence, among others. I'm sure I knew her from The X-Files. In fact, let me see if I can look her name up with The X-Files. I'll recognize her from the episode. I'm sorry she's passed. That's kind of
looks like she had been struggling with leukemia, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not related.
Those kind of diseases are tough. I had a friend that passed on from Hodgkin's when he was young. Let me see here, though. Nikki Acox. I want to see who she played on The X-Files. Maybe I'm going to recognize her off the top of my head. If I can cut and paste. Google. Making it more difficult these days. Go to Safari. What did she play? Sherry Cunningham in The X-Files, I Want to Believe. Okay. That was the second movie. All right, I'll have to look it up. I don't remember her, but I'll keep an eye out for her now. I'm sorry she's dead. I'm going to say a lot of actors don't get their due credit because they play a lot of smaller roles, but they're essential as anybody else, and it's a story that she's passed on. Okay, but I think that about wraps it up for tonight. Let me see here.
So,
what do you got planned for this week?
Well, this is Thanksgiving week, so obviously Thanksgiving plans. Friday, of course, I'll be doing my annual what do you call it? Watch party
of Planes,
Trains, and Automobiles. Yep. And
those aren't pillows.
Will you be? Yeah, right. Exactly. Will you be able to make it?
Yes, I'll be there Friday for that.
Okay, because I know you got family stuff and whatnot.
I don't think on Friday I'm going to have anything going on, so it shouldn't be an issue. I'll let you know if there is, but I don't think it will be.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I got going on this week, and of course, then Saturday over on Netters Network, watch party of Caddyshack, which now that I think about it, is a pretty good follow up to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. If you think, about it.
It's kind of in that same vein, I think. Yeah, so looking forward to it, and Wednesday I will be on Soundtracks to Bourbon. Don't know if we're gonna have other guests or not, but it will be the Thanksgiving Eve stream, and I will be probably rambling about Black Friday deals, which will probably be past due because, of course, they always start Black Friday on Sunday at 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, hope you all have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Eat turkey, ham, or whatever else. Have some pumpkin pie. That's the best thing. Right? Am I wrong here?
This year, instead of getting pumpkin pie, we got sweet potato pie.
Okay.
Netter and I both struggle to be able to tell the difference.
That was the joke on, to date myself and also talk about, remember the Cosby Show? They did Thanksgiving with the Cosby Show, and they said, go to the store and get us some canned pumpkin. And he says, We have all kinds of pies here. We have apple pie, we have cherry pie, we have sweet potato pie, and those aren't pumpkin. Sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie are the same thing. You can't tell the difference. It's like and then he had to go to the store, and apparently it was like a horror show. When he came back, he was explaining how it was just to get to get the can of pumpkin filling. It's just Oh yeah, thank you, Auditor Dread. Appreciate it. Have a great stream, guys. Hope you have Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, man. Yeah. I know what we'll be talking about this next Sunday. The fallout from the Iger taking over.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I can tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with Disney now. I was maintaining some kind of hope. My hope is gone now.
I now see like Iger turning around the chair after chair as I'm now resigning, and then in the chair Iger, and he turns to you and says, "And you thought we were woke before?"
Yeah, probably. Probably right. You're
it's going to be worse now than it was.
Possibly.
Maybe it's best if it just burns itself out. I don't know. At this point, thank you, Ned. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
All right. Y'all have a good week, and I'll see you during the week. Check us out on Wednesday on Birdman Stream, and like I said, I'll probably be here Friday on with Troy. Playing Shoes and Automobiles, a classic, and catch you guys later.
Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.